Hey, besties, welcome in. It is Friday night, which means it is time to get lit here at Sabrina Reads and Roams. Not that you care, but it's technically Saturday when I'm filming this because of reasons, but it was a very long week and I usually drink a mocktail, although last time I had tea, but it was a very long week at a new job. It was stressful. I am stressed. Those are the reasons why I'm filming on Saturday. And so because of all of that, I'm going to have an actual alcoholic beverage. I am of legal drinking age. I know it's hard to tell, so it's fine. I was really in the mood for one of, if not my number one favorite drink, which is the caipirinha. This is a Brazilian drink if you're not familiar with it. It is made with Brazilian alcohol called cachaça. I have no idea what cachaça is. And I tried to ask my Brazilian friend and she's like, it's cachaça. And I'm like, all right, thank you so much for the information. If you're watching this, hi, Ka. Very quick backstory that's totally unrelated. My friend, who is Brazilian, her father, sweetest man in the world. And the only thing he knows to say in English is, do you like Brazilian drink? And so, so anytime he came to town, we knew it was about to be a good time because we were about to get our Brazilian drink on. And that is like one of my favorite memories of her wedding was her dad roaming around, grabbing people by the arm saying, do you like Brazilian drink? And he would take them over to his little drink making station and make them a caipirinha. So anyway, I was actually drinking something as I was setting up to film this video and it's still in the shot. So whoopsies. We only have 3 books to talk about today. Let me clip on the mic so I can get my caipirinha on. Hold on. Really quick. So caipirinha is made with cachaça. It's made with a lime and it's made with just plain old white sugar and limes and ice cubes. That's all that goes into it. It's very simple. I brought out both of my cachaças. This came from Brazil via Ka and I will always cherish it. I did manage to find an American made brand of cachaça and that's the one that I'm opening today because it's not as cherished. So that's what we're going to do. You're going to see me make the drink, but we have 3 books that we're talking about tonight. And oh, there we go. All right. The first book. Oh, wow. It is fragrant. I'm sorry. That just totally knocked me off track. I don't even know why I opened this because the first step in our journey is to cut up our lime. Okay, Sabrina, please focus. All right. So the first book that we have to talk about is Awakens. That is by Elise Kova. You're supposed to like cut off the butt of the lime because you don't really want that in your drink. Probably my favorite part about this is that it has the whole lime just in your cup. If you don't know me, if you've not met me before, hello, my name is Sabrina. I am addicted to lime. It is my favorite citrus. I love the sourness of it. Oh, so delicious. But yes, you have to cut the pith off of the ends so that you can put this into your drink and not get that like bitterness from the pith. And then you just want to cut it into a bunch of slices. I mean, it doesn't really matter what you do here. You can cut it into little squares if you want, whatever makes your heart happy. I will be using a cup that has snowflakes on it. So you'll just put the whole lime into your cup. So it's about 3 bar spoons worth of sugar in here. And you just put that all in the cup together. And you muddle it up. So I just want to say, like, be careful not to smash the rind of the lime. You do want it in there and you do want it to have some flavor released, but primarily you want to try to muddle the like flesh of the lime, I guess you would call it. Anyway, we're talking about books. Okay, so I told you Awakens, and then we also have to talk about Trouble at First, a cute little romance that I read. And what was the 3rd book? Anybody have any guesses? Oh, To Steal a Throne by Gabby Burton. So those are the 3 books that we're going to talk about. We're going to get lit. Okay, I just squirted myself in the eyeball with lime juice. I did 3 bar spoons of sugar. I got 1 whole lime in there. All right, I'm doing 2 ounces of cachaça. So there's like not a lot of liquid in there. So this is not the biggest drink ever, but I'm going to add some ice to this. Hold on. Yeah, real talk. I'm going to add an extra lime because that just doesn't feel like enough. Okay, there is my caipirinha. I've already tasted it. It's delicious. But anyway, cheers. Oh my God. Oh my God, it's so good. Okay. I also, in all the excitement of making caipirinha, I forgot to mention that there is a book that we're going to talk about called Ghost Stories. Ghost Lover? It's called Ghost Lover. Okay, so Friday Night Lit, for those of you who are uninitiated, we're gonna deep dive the books. I like to caution everybody that I am trying not to do any spoilers in the video about any of the books. However, there will be heavy plot discussion. So if there's a book that you have on your TBR and you're like, I absolutely do not want to know anything about this book, there will be timestamps down below that will tell you how to skip that section. So you just click right on past it, okay? So the first book is Awakens by Elise Kova. This is the first in a 5-book series. It's on Kindle Unlimited. I needed a book with the word air in the title. That's the reason why I was reading this, okay? I'm so glad that I did. Well, let me tell you about it. Let me just break it down for you, okay? So we have our girl, and she's like a librarian, okay? She's a librarian in the castle. There's war. It's a fantasy book, so there's war about, and it doesn't seem like she really does much librarian work. I feel like she's just kind of dicking around reading books the whole time. But there are people who have magic, and then there are people who do not, right? Vala doesn't have magic, except then she does. And like, she didn't know that. And so the prince, like, there's a whole thing where the prince comes home from war and he's injured. And they're like, we need everybody, like all hands on deck. We need somebody to figure out how we're going to save the prince. Lo and behold, Vala's the one that saves him. Of course. She saves him, and then he takes an interest in her, and he discovers that she has these powers. He's like, obviously she has powers. She wouldn't have been able to save me if she didn't. And basically my guy pushed her off of a building. And I was like, absolutely not. Like, it's toxic. He pushed her off a building so she could have her awakening. Like, I will burn the kingdom to the ground. Do not push me off the building. Do not push me into the pool. Never. It's never going to be me. Okay. So anyway, even though he pushed her off a building, I mean, your girl was mad for a time. She was mad at him for a time. But as we go through the book, she kind of gets over it. But then there's like another prince that comes in, like the I guess he's like the crown prince, the other brother. Am I drunk already? So the other prince, the crown prince, comes in and he's like, what are you doing hanging out with my brother? And she's like, I can't tell you. And he's like, why not? And so in this society, like the people, like the sorcerers who have magic, like it's not that it's a secret. It's just that people don't really accept them. But then like they have their own little like area of the castle where they all study as apprentices. And I don't really know if I'm explaining this well, but just believe me, they have their own little area. They're not really like outcasts, but like also they kind of a little bit are. And so she's being told she needs to leave the librarian apprenticeship and she needs to come join the sorcerers. And the prince is like, yeah, I mean, like, I can show you the world. Like, I mean, he probably had a magic carpet somewhere. And she's like, I don't know if I want to do that. Like, I really like reading my books. And then I'm like, girl, you're not going to have a choice. So the crown prince comes in. He's like, so you're hanging out with my brother, huh? The crown prince is basically not having any of that. He's like, let me show you my world, because I guarantee you it's much better than baby brother's world, which is like, you guys live in the same castle. You have the same mommy and daddy. He basically takes her in, and like, there's a whole lot that happens, but like the crux of the books is that he takes her in and he convinces her that she's going to get dressed up in like the like wear of royalty and go to this like ball that his parents are having. And like, he convinces her this is going to be fine and it's not going to be a big deal. Of course, we get to the ball and it's kind of a big deal. Everybody's looking at her. They're like, oh my God, she's gorgeous, but who is she? She's got a fake name. And then she's trying to meet the original prince. I can't even remember this dude's name, but she's trying to meet the sorcerer prince, like before he goes off to war again, because she like wants to see him desperately. That's the reason why she kind of agreed to go to this stupid ball. So she's at the ball. She is making an impression on the king, queen, all these other people from the realm. She sees the sorcerer prince and she goes outside to go talk to him so they can like hash out their feelings, because she's kind of in love with him, but she's not really sure. And she's like, maybe the crown prince is a better option. I don't really know. So she goes outside to talk to him. They're talking for like 2 seconds and boom, there's an explosion. Okay, this is where the story really truly starts. Okay. And this is basically the end. She runs after the explosion because she's like, my friends are over there. He's like, don't run away from me. Don't go over there towards the explosion, because girl, why would you run towards the explosion? I mean, I'm on Sorcerer Prince's side here, but she runs anyway. So he's like, I gotta run after her. And basically what had happened was the Sorcerer Prince almost dies, and they basically were like, Vala, you tried to kill him, and so you're gonna go jail forever. You're gonna go in a dungeon. We're gonna have a little tribunal, and we're probably gonna put you to death. That's the overarching story here. Book 1 of 5, it is a lot of backstory. Okay. So there's not a ton that happens. We're doing a lot of world building. We're learning about, the different types of people in this society. I'm sure they're all going to be important at some point, but currently it's like information that came in and I was like, I'm going to file that away for later. I don't think I need to know all that right now. We're primarily dealing with Vala, who is a Windwalker, and she's the first Windwalker there has been in like 200 years or something like that. And the Sorcerer Prince, what is that man's name? I do not know. He is a fire bearer, so he controls fire. So they're wind and fire. You see how they're working together. They're totally meant to be. It's totally kismet. All the books in the rest of the series have elemental names to them. So it's an elemental magic based society. So I'm interested to see where this is going. I liked this book and I read it for a reading challenge, and I don't think I would have ever picked it up on my own, but I did read it for a reading challenge, and I'm very glad that I did. I liked it. I like the main character. Now, she is a young girl, which is generally something that I complain about, but I do feel like she had decent decision-making skills. I mean, I'm questioning her attraction to the prince who tossed her off a roof without her permission or consent or knowledge that was even going to happen. I mean, baby girl was just looking at the kingdom. He was like, everything that the light touches is my kingdom. What is wrong with me? And then next thing you know, she's falling to the ground. And I mean, she hit the ground like she was injured. It took her weeks to recover from that. So I'm questioning her level of attraction to the prince who would do this to her. But again, she's a young girl, so it's fine. This is one of the few younger female main characters that I have not complained about, about them being dumb. So I like that. I like where the story is going. Like, I really want to see what is going to happen next, because it was just very interesting. And like, I liked the story. I thought it was different enough from most general fantasy that I was engaged with it. And it's 5 books, and I do like a long series, but I feel like 5 books is just annoying enough. Like 4, okay, cool, whatever. 5, it feels like it's a long series, but it's not that long. So I'm talking like, I want like an 8-book series. So all of those things considered, I'm not actually bothered by the book. So that tells me that it's pretty good, right? So vibes wise, like I'm going with like a solid to high 4 on the vibes. Like, this was good. There were a few things that could have been improved, but like, it's not even that serious. I think it's just that it was the first book and there was a ton of world building and backstory. And so had the story been a little more involved, I think we would have been at a 5 for the vibes. It was just, so I'm expecting book 2 to like immediately dive in, be off to the races, because I feel like we've got the backstory, right? We don't need to know anymore. And I would like to see this little like situation with the princes. I want to see how that's going to work itself out. I myself have not had any spoilers for book 2, but I will be trying to read that ASAP, which I have a lot of other books that I have to read first. So when I say that, I'm saying that it might be a while, but I really want to read it right now. Anyway. Woo, I just love the sour. It's so good. Okay. Ghost Lover. So this is a book of short stories. I'm not typically a short story reader, but I did pull a prompt that asked me to read a book of short stories. So I picked this one out. I got this book in like a mystery book box. So it's not one that I like selected or anything like that, but neither here nor there. Now, the synopsis of the book tells me that it's about this woman who creates a text messaging service where you don't have to interact with your crush. It will do it for you. Like, it will answer text messages for you and decide when or when not to ghost them. That's what the book told me it was about. I never got there. Okay. Let me tell you something. I DNF'd this book 50 pages in. And I really should have DNF'd it a lot sooner, but I was trying my hardest to hang on and just, do it. But like, this reads like it was written in the early 1990s. The amount of women hating women, being mean girls, and also the extreme focus on women's bodies. Now, this is written by a woman, okay? But 50 pages, and I would say a third of those pages are talking about being fat or not being fat and trying not to be fat and thigh gaps and gaining weight and the other woman being fatter than you are. I was like, Jesus Christ. Okay. And when we weren't talking about how fat someone was or was not, then we were talking about basically being a bitch to somebody, like being a bitch to a man that you're in a relationship and using him, and being a bitch to another girl. At some point, there is a girl who is in this relationship with this man. She does not love him whatsoever, but she's claimed him. And he basically is like not feeling the relationship. So he's cheating on her. She sees him and the girl at a coffee shop. And I have a quote from this one. This one I thought was a little bit much. Okay, hold on. So it says, Nick walked into your coffee shop with a girl, a definitive girl, about a decade younger. You passed gas when you saw him. The girl turned in the direction of the sound and found you. Her face bloomed rose with compassion. He didn't seem to have heard, and she didn't know who you were. She didn't know how once Nick you out in your mother's house while Carl, the husband of hers, who used to violate you, listened from downstairs. Jesus Christ. Okay, I'm all for a bit of trauma, and I probably had to bleep most of part of that out, but that doesn't come up again in the book, at least not as far as I got. So it was just kind of in there to be in there, like shock value, I guess. I have another quote in here, and this is when I was starting to get sick of them talking about women's bodies, and it was like, Petra had a thigh gap through which you could see the whole world. Who says that? And why? So I DNF'd. And honestly, you guys, I'm so proud of myself because I usually will suffer through literally the worst book ever. And I just won't DNF. I don't like to DNF things. I DNF'd her. She had to go. Okay. The vibes were a 0. So I put down Ghost Lover and I picked up Trouble at First. This is a indie published book by Cheryl Campbell. And I picked this up at a local book fair. And I'm not really a sports romance girly, but I picked it up because the main characters exist where I live. So the main female character goes to the college that I went to. The college itself is not hugely centered in the book. It's just a fact that she goes there, and they kind of talk about her she lives around the campus, and there are one or two things that my college does that are unique to my college that are mentioned in the story. And then the male main character goes to the college that my husband went to. And I was like, what? That's crazy. So when I heard that, when I heard the author explaining this book to somebody else, because I wasn't going to stop. I'm not really into sports romance, especially not baseball. It's going to be sports romance. Give me basketball. Okay. Basketball is my sport. I heard her describing this, and I heard her say the name of my college. And I was like, do what? What did you say? Nobody's heard of my college, okay? It's a private women's college. Nobody's heard of it. So I got excited, and I heard her describing it. And I was like, I have to pick it up. I have to pick it up because it's a story of me and my husband, except we didn't do baseball. We just whatever. I was so excited to read this. Okay, so this story is they're two college kids, and they actually don't meet on the college campus, even though the college campuses are less than a mile apart from each other. That's true in real life too. I'm probably giving you a lot of information that you can stalk me with. They're less than a mile apart from each other. And so they didn't actually meet that way. They never actually met in person, around campus. They both happen to be in the next state over for summer break doing something. And so she is the daughter of a billionaire, and she's pretending not to be the daughter of a billionaire for the summer. He's a baseball player, and he's at baseball training camp, whatever. I don't know what you would call it. He's basically, if you guys have heard of the Savannah Bananas, he's basically playing for that team during the summer, but they have a slightly different name. So that's kind of the crux of it. They meet and she gives him a fake name. They kind of sort of have a thing, but not really. And then we kind of like time jump. And that's when they actually start their relationship. And it's very rocky. It's very weird. But this is the start of a interconnected series. And I'm not a sports girly, but I kind of want to read the rest of them. I think the next one, or maybe the next 1 and 2, are about NHL players, maybe. And I know that there's another one that is about baseball. So I kind of want to read them. It was a cute, fun read. And like, I don't typically love fluffy romances, but I was into this one. Okay. And it's probably because of the college connection situation. Who knows? Do I have a quote for this one? Let me check. I've been getting lazy and not annotating in the actual book. I've been just taking pictures of what I want to annotate. I don't have a quote from this one. It's fine. This is just like super cute and I loved it. Vibes. I'm going to give the vibes of 5. Now I'm going to give that with the disclaimer that I just literally sat here and told you guys all about this book. And basically all that I said about it was that the main characters mimic the college is that me and my husband went to. And that's why I was so into this, despite not really caring about baseball. So just beware, be warned. It is a cute, fluffy romance. You might not give it 5 hearts on the vibe scale. You might give it like 3.5 to 4 vibes. Okay. But you should still read it because it was a good book. Okay. So that is Trouble at First. And I will be reading more from Miss Cheryl Campbell. She lives locally here. So I've got to track down how to get the rest of her series. Man, I feel like I haven't really drank any of this, but listen, I don't drink anymore because of my medication. And so I'm basically a lightweight. It's also like 10:30 at night. So I don't know if I should really be getting liquored up this late, but I am. Anyway, the last book I'm chewing limes and it's like so good, but okay. So the last book is To Steal a Throne by Gabby Burton. I read this as an ARC. It was sent to me by Gabby herself. This is a Black fantasy. I don't think that's the word. It is a fantasy book written by a Black woman and it features characters of color, which is not actually that normal or typical to find in a fantasy book. I love that. Now, for me, when I read a fantasy book, I kind of tune out what the authors say these people look like and I replace them in my head with Black people. That's just me, whatever. So reading this one where they actually have Black, brown, dark skin, I was like, okay, I don't have to come up with it on my own. Because I'd be reading these books and I'd be caught off guard when they're like, oh, and so had emerald eyes. And I'm like, all right, but he was like the color of Taye Diggs in my mind. And like the emerald eyes don't really go that well with that kind of skin color, but I'll let you have, you know what? So it's fine. It's fine. It's a me thing. It's weird. Anyway, what was I saying about this book? This is why I don't drink. Listen, it's been like well over a year since I've had alcohol. Okay. You'll have to bear with me. This was a terrible idea. I feel flushed. Get it together, girl. Okay. Get it together before the camera overheats. All right. So To Steal a Throne. Basically, we have this girl who is the half sister, but also she's like the bastard child. She's the half sister of this guy who is the preceptor, which is kind of like a king, but he's not really the king. It's sort of similar to the way that the king or queen of England is like the figurehead, but like not really, but like also kind of. So it's kind of like that. Okay. So they have like the Senate where the people that actually make the laws and it's the nobility. So that's kind of the setup for the society. She is the bastard half sister of the preceptor. Her step parents hate her and her mom died from starvation because her dad found out she was pregnant. Her mom was like the maid. Her dad found out she was pregnant. He was like, absolutely not on my watch. And I'm like, my guy, you're the reason she's pregnant. What do you mean? It definitely is on your watch. It's your watch is the reason why she's pregnant. But anyway, so he kicked her out and was like, nobody hire this lady. She's crazy. And so she couldn't find work really. And so they had to move out of town back to where her people are from. They were destitute and her mom died from starvation. Okay. Because she was busy feeding her. And her name was Ramira. So Mira shows up at her daddy house like, listen, my mom's is dead. Like, what you gonna do? And he was like, you can go live in the outhouse. Basically, they were like, well, we don't really want you here, but like, I guess I have to take you in. So she is the sister. She is living in the castle or whatever with her brother. And she's like his right-hand man. And she's calling all the shots. She's also slightly Lady Whistledown. Like she's is she called like the hooded queen or the shadow queen? She's the shadow queen. And she's like writing news columns, giving out all this business of the senators. She's also going around coercing people. Like mama is busy, okay? But everybody's like, you're a bastard child. You're also one of the like people that we don't like. It's racism. They don't like her particular race. And she is basically fed up with this. She's like, there's no reason why I'm calling all the shots. My brother is an effing idiot, okay? I'm doing all this work and I'm getting zero credit for it. And not just getting zero credit for it, I am being tortured by my stepmother. I am being coerced. I am being blackmailed, all this stuff. Enough. She has decided she's going to get her brother back on the throne because they can only serve one term. But she's going to get her brother back on the throne and then she's going to take his throne from him and then she's going to rule the world. I have some questions that just weren't super resolved in the book and I don't know if it was an oversight. I don't know if it was intentional, and we're going to find out in book 2. One major question I have is your girl's trying to take over the world, right? She's Pinky in the Brain. She's going to take over the world. She's going to steal the preceptor seat from her brother after she gets him reelected. But we've already established that the preceptor is just like a figurehead. They don't really do anything. So how is that going to allow her to take over the world? I mean... yeah. So that for me was like a major point that was unresolved. I did have a couple of other like minor things and like, I don't think they're worth mentioning, but they were just some minor things. Oh, no. This is not minor. Okay. So there is a particular piece of her magical skills where she can tell if you're lying. So if you are lying, she like internally heats up. Okay. So she knows if you're lying. And so when you lie, it essentially charges up her magical capability so that she can do other magic besides just knowing that you're lying. Okay. So there's a part of the book where she needs to charge her magical abilities. Like everybody has to charge their magic and everybody has their own fuel source. It's always something different. So she needs to charge up her magic so they can get her out of a sticky situation. And her brother's like, I've got it. And he's like, my eyes are green. And she's like, you know, it doesn't work that way. If you are willingly lying to me in order to charge up my magic, it doesn't work. Okay. I love that. So then later in the book, she's in a sticky situation again, and she's with this other guy. I don't think I even gave you guys the plot of this book, did I? Well, hold on, let me finish my thought. So she's with this other guy, and they need to charge up her magic. It's completely empty. And he's like, I didn't enjoy kissing you. And it works. And like, we all know, she knows, he knows, I know, we know, you know, that he's lying to get her magic to charge up. And it worked. And I was like, now, how does that? Tell me how, because you just said that doesn't work. But let me back it up because I don't know if I told you guys the plot of the story or not in between the camera dying and all that stuff. So basically, she's the stepsister or the half sister of this idiot preceptor, and she's going to take back the world. Now, there's this other guy who is also a bastard child, also from the same place of a different guy. And he comes swaggering in one day and he's like, what's up? I'm here. My pops is sick. And everybody's like, who the F are you? And he's like, I'm old boy's son. And they're like, nah, he doesn't have a son. And he's like, I mean, technically I'm his bastard son, but he ain't got no other heirs. So here I am. And everybody's like, all right. So he just kind of swaggers in. He doesn't follow any rules of decorum, no Robert's Rules of Order, nothing. He just does whatever he wants to do. He's here to fuck shit up. Okay. And he is deciding that he's going to challenge Mira's brother for the throne. And they basically have to go through a set of trials. Mira's like, yeah, I can't let that happen because it's going to spoil my plans, and which her plans don't even make sense. And so they go through the trials, and your boy, Swagger McP, comes in and he realizes that Mira is helping her brother because her brother's kind of dumb. And he's like, so you're cheating, are you? And she's like, I don't know what you're talking about. And he's like, got you, bestie. And And the best part is, it turns out the way his magic works is if they touch each other skin to skin, he will know that she has magical powers and didn't report herself to like the military complex for service. So nobody knows that Mira has magical powers except for like her brother and her stepmom and her dad. So there's like so many layers to all of this, and it's like a little convoluted. So okay, vibes. I'm gonna give the book a 3 on vibes. Hear me out, because there was too much unresolved and there was too much just like playing around. That sounds bad, but there was too much just like we're doing like espionage, and we have and we have, court politics, and we have a trial system. There was too much playing around for me, and I wanted to get to the crux of the story, which is that your girl's trying to take over the freaking world, and I just didn't feel like we were really getting there. So I guess I want to see what book 2 is about, but if book 2 doesn't impress me, I'm only going to begrudgingly read book 3. I mean, I'm gonna still read it, but like I won't be excited. I won't be that excited about it, And like I really wanted this book to be it. I always feel bad. I know this about myself. I know that I have a very sarcastic sense of humor, and I feel like people read it as me like totally like dumping on the book when I'm just saying that it wasn't that great. And I don't mean to say that it was bad. It just wasn't. Like there's, it was middle of the road somewhere. And I think people read that from me in my sarcasm as I'm saying it was terrible. And so then I start feeling bad, but I'm like, no, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying like it was somewhere in the middle of the road and it could have been better. We're all rooting for you. That's why I told you no alcohol. 20-year-old Sabrina would be horrified that this is all it took. Because the way I used to drink when I was 20, honey, I listen, I once drank an entire bottle of lemonade vodka and I didn't even feel tipsy. I drank the whole bottle. Okay, it's fine. I can barely keep it together now, okay? So anyway, vibes were like a 3, and I really did like the world building. So it was a very snowy place, which that's not my vibe, but it was very snowy. And I think that the author did a really good job of painting the scenery in every scene that we were in. And I think she did a really good job of making the magic unique. It was just those things where like she forgot to follow her own rules. And it pulled me out of the story. So I wasn't able to be fully immersed because I spent some time thinking about like, no, that doesn't make sense. No. Instead of just continuing to read the story.
Oh my God, I can't believe I forgot to mention that this book had my least favorite trope, which is just one bed, except they took it up a notch because it was just one blanket. Like my guy and my girl were on the floor and they only had one blanket to share. So I was like, you have to be kidding me.
So for that, I'm giving it 3 hearts for the vibes. And I mean, it was good times though. I still want to read book 2. I'm just being cautious. That's all. I do apologize because I feel like I've been all over the place in this video, and I just really needed a cocktail. We're going to get through it. It's going to be what it's going to be. Those were the 4 books. I thought it was 3, but those are the 4 books that I have read recently. And I feel like I've very much slowed down on my reading because I've been so stressed out and so busy. I've just been like not reading that much. I will say today, before I filmed this video, I did a significant amount of reading. So I think we're back. Listen, we're not going to call it a reading slump because I hate when people say that, like you're not in a reading slump. You just weren't reading that much today. It's fine. You don't have to read 90,000 pages every single day of your entire life. It doesn't have to be a reading. Why am I ranting about this? I need to calm down. Okay. Anyway. So those are the books that I read. I don't know if you guys can hear in the background. My nugget ice maker is out of water and it is gurgling and it's fighting for its life over there. I gotta go give it some water. So because of that, let me go ahead and wrap this up. So those are the books that I read. Let me know what you think. I'm going to go back to the mocktails next time. I very much appreciate you guys being here with me. I don't know what I'm laughing about. So please just hit the like and subscribe button to give me a little bit of support and love and a little, what would you call it? Push through itness, because I feel like I'm flopping on the sands of the beach and I should be in the water. And that is causing me to drink alcohol. All right. That is enough, Sabrina. Cut it off. Cut it off. You're cut off. Okay. So thank you for watching. And I will see you all in the very next video.